What's going on, Halo fans? Luke TheNotable here. What we're going to be talking about today is why free-for-all rank seems so broken. Now, if you haven't already seen it, I do recommend going and watching my video on how Halo 5's matchmaking and hidden ranks work. It gives a very basic understanding of Halo 5's matchmaking system and the hidden ranks that truly decide who you're going to play in matchmaking. This video was inspired by comments that were posted on that video. A very common question that I was getting in the comment section of this video were people asking why they were always playing people with higher level CSRs than they were. There were tons of people in the comment section that explained that they were something like a Platinum 3 and always ended up playing Diamonds, or they were Diamonds and always ended up matching champs. And would you be surprised if most people were talking about the free-for-all playlist? It is very common for players to have problems with their free-for-all rank, and it's because of how the matchmaking system works and how free-for-all awards CSR and MMR. If you don't know what I'm talking about, seriously, go watch that video and then come back to this one. It will make much more sense. Before we get into CSR, MMR, and all those crazy things that I talked about in the first video I did on this subject, seriously, go watch it. I've said that like 3 times now. What we have to understand is how free-for-all awards you for playing it. Most playlists in Halo 5 are team-based games and therefore only award you CSR or add to your competitive Spartan rank if you win. Free-for-all acts completely different though. If only the first person in free-for-all got some CSR, it would be very, very hard to rank up, and the top 200 players, the champions of the playlist, would be insanely good because they would have to constantly beat everyone in order to get those ranks. Interestingly, when you hit the Onyx tier, a lot of times even coming in 5th place will award you CSR or increase your rank. So you can basically lose the game of free-for-all but still rank up. This is why a lot of times champion in free-for-all isn't necessarily being the best skilled, but it's oftentimes about playing the most. I'm not saying that you don't have to be good to get champion in free-for-all. No, the champs in free-for-all are good at the game, but they're not necessarily the best in the playlist. They're some of the best players, but they're also the 200 best players that can play the most, in general. To further simplify my point, if we look at this Venn diagram, on the left you can see really, really good players. On the right you can see players that can play for a long period of time. People that will get champ in free-for-all will be in the middle, good players that can also pour a ton of time into the game. A long time ago I did a series where I grinded to champ in free-for-all, and if you watch that series or you remember it, you'll know that I played very well near the end of the series against pretty much everyone in the playlist. But no matter how good I played, I never got the champion rank until the next season because I couldn't pour enough time into the game. Once ranks reset, it was very easy for me to get the champion rank because I was so good and I didn't need to pour tons of time into the game because the ranks were new. But I ended up losing my rank very quickly because I couldn't sustain the amount of time I needed to play to get that champion rank. I'm telling you guys this because this demand for the highest level players in free-for-all to have to play tons of time is the reason that a lot of you probably have a low rank but are playing high level players. Now let's give you a similar example to my story but using lower ranks. Let's say you played your placement matches in free-for-all, didn't do too well, and got kind of a lower rank. Smurfs are actually a very common reason why people end up ranking lower. If you play a Smurf that completely destroys you and that Smurf has a very low CSR, you're probably not going to rank too high. Anyway, the trek from Platinum to Diamond and Diamond to Onyx does take a very long time. Remember how earlier I said if you're an Onyx level player and you come in 4th or 5th place, you sometimes will get CSR? Well, that's generally not true for ranks lower than Onyx. For ranks lower than Onyx, you generally have to come in at least 3rd place in order to get positive CSR. This means that ranks lower than Onyx are competitively pushed harder than Onyx level ranks. In lower ranks, you have to play very well and competitively in order to ascend in your ranks, coming in the top 3 of every single game that you play. In Onyx, you can pretty much just show up and they'll give you more CSR as long as you keep playing. So if you're a good player who just happens to have a lower CSR than normal, your MMR or your hidden rank, because you're playing at such a high level and you have to compete at this high level, will generally go up. And when your MMR or hidden rank value increases, you will generally play higher level players. First, if you're playing in Platinum, you'll play the highest level Platinum tier, but once you start to beat those guys, you'll have to move into Diamond and eventually Onyx. This is what makes ranking up in free-for-all so tough, because when you're a lower than Onyx player, it means you have to play at the top of your game, always coming in the top 3. Eventually, that will lead to an increase in your MMR, which will lead to you playing players in the higher tiers like Diamond and eventually Onyx. Your MMR or hidden rank increases fast, meaning pretty quickly after you get your placement matches and are ranked in Platinum and you're a good player, you're going to start playing people in a higher CSR, higher tier. This problem is compounded because recently, free-for-all and Proving Grounds playlists were loosened a little bit, so higher-end players could find matches easier. From a gameplay standpoint, this is actually pretty fair, because you have proven with your MMR that you are a good player and that you should be able to tango with Diamond and Onyx players. The problem is, because you're playing at the Diamond and Onyx tier, it can be very hard to increase yourself in Platinum or even lower. Your MMR or your hidden rank will understand that you're a really good player and put you up against equally good players that happen to be in other higher tiers. So because you are constantly going to be playing people at or above your skill level, it can be hard to come in the top 3 and increase your CSR. This is the problem that a lot of people have. People don't have a problem with playing people at or above their skill level. That's fine, that's totally fair. What I have a problem with is that a lot of times, for reasons that I've stated in this video, sometimes players will have a lower rank than they actually deserve. This can be insanely frustrating. If you play really well in free-for-all, you should have a high rank, and it's sad that that isn't always the case. Now, as I explained in the first video where I explained the matchmaking system in hidden ranks, which again, you should go watch, 343 is currently accepting feedback for their matchmaking system. So if you want to find a way to change the matchmaking system, that is the best place to go. They also are updating us on all of the things that they may end up changing in the future. One of the things 343 has talked about implementing to decrease the incidence of things like this happening is actually allowing players to de-rank, meaning if you're a Platinum 1 and you play a couple bad games, you're going back down to Gold, which isn't the case right now. If you ever look at a Halo 5 arena chart, you'll see that players perpetually do get stuck in the first tier of the respective arena division. Looking at this color-coded chart, you can see that there is an elevated number of players in Gold 1, Platinum 1, Diamond 1, Onyx 1500, because those are players that should be ranking down to the lower tier, but can't. If Spartans have the ability to rank down, it means that they have to work harder in order to prove that they are a certain rank. Speaking more on proving that you're a certain rank, 343 has also thought about making the MMR or your hidden rank a much more deciding factor on not only who you play, but what your CSR should be. So currently, if you're playing free-for-all and you want to go from Platinum 1 to Diamond 1, you'd have to play 18 games, and you'd have to come in the top 3 in each one of those. And that's if you're 100% coming in the top 3. If you're only coming in the top 3 75% of the time, you'd have to play 25 games. Your MMR or your hidden rank can change a lot faster than your CSR, and what 343 is thinking about doing is making MMR a little bit more indicative of your actual rank. Under this new proposed system, if you are a Platinum 1 player and won, say, like 3 or 4 games, came in first place with an amazing KD, instead of having to play the other 13 or 15 games in order to get to Diamond 1, because you did so well even as a Platinum 1 player, you might be placed in Diamond. And in the same right, if an Onyx player doesn't do very well for a couple games, coming in 6th or 5th place, they would be ranked down from Onyx to Diamond or even Platinum, depending on how bad they were doing. Either way, these systems would essentially make it so you had to kind of prove that you belonged at the rank you were at. And I think this is something that I and a lot of other people in the Halo community can get behind. But of course, none of these changes have been taken into effect yet. 343 is still wanting your feedback. Make sure to click that link in the description, go to that forum, and tell them what you think. But that is why sometimes low ranks in free-for-all might be playing higher level people. Take pride in it though, because that does mean that you're a good player. I'm interested to see how often you guys play. Comment down below with the max games, max matches that you've ever played in a single season. I'm playing some guys right now in free-for-all that really aren't that good at the game, but have the champion rank because they have almost 150 games played. I do plan on going into a couple other things in regard to the Halo ranking system, so if you want to see those, make sure you subscribe and follow me on all of my social media to make sure that you don't miss those. But anyway guys, thank you all for watching. Please stay notable, and I'll see you in the next video.